And hello to you, wonderful person. Welcome back to Japan Game Junk's podcast. And now, I'd like to tell you a bit about a store I visited in Kisarazu city of Chiba Prefecture. So, Kisarazu is a pretty interesting place. It's feels almost like it's a suburban kind of city, and I guess it could be, depending on which suburb you're thinking about, but actually, it is very, very, very easy to access this from one of the biggest metro areas in Japan. Kisarazu is one terminus of the Rainbow Bridge that connects this peninsula, the Boso Peninsula of Chiba, with Yokosuka City in Kanagawa, and a part that's right next to Yokohama City, which is the biggest municipality in Japan. Of course, Tokyo is the biggest, I guess, city in Japan, but it is split into many different localities, which are independent. Although, of course, there is one, governor. But as far as a single city goes, Yokohama is the biggest in the country. So, you can be in that biggest city in the country, but also then go to Kisarazu City in Chiba in about half an hour through that highway, very kind of expensive to use actually, bridge that goes over the water. Anyway, in Kisarazu City, there's a lot of stuff to do there. A great outlet mall with a nice Panda Express for your culinary pleasure, but also many used game stores, and I visited a couple of those on this day, and let me tell you a bit about those at the moment. The first one that I visited that I'll talk about in this episode is, I don't know what to call it. If it's Surugaya, if it's Momotaro Okoku, if it's Zest. When I first went there, way back when, it was just a Zest store. And it had two big sections, one for media, including games and stuff, and toys and stuff, and the other for your adult goods, for your pornographic movies to watch and to feel pleasure through. So, as of a couple of years ago, though, the portion that was not the adult section renamed itself to Momotaro Okoku to be part of that chain, the Momotaro, the Peach Boy Kingdom chain of used stores, which is very nice. But all the stuff, Zest and Momotaro Okoku, they were bought out by Surugaya, the Surugaya chain, recently. So this store was Momotaro Okoku, supported by Surugaya, and connected with the adult Zest store in the same building. All of which under the Surugaya umbrella. But anyway, quite a bit of stuff there was interesting to see, so let me tell you about what I did in fact see at the Momotaro Okoku store. First thing I thought was pretty interesting was it was an older game, not one that's so popular, but it might tell you a bit about the Japanese mindset. Hello Neighbor. You know that game that's, I think, pretty popular, and most people know about it? The horror game, Hello Neighbor. It never really had a release in Japan, so a copy of the game for Switch, Nintendo Switch, that is only the game, no box, no instructions, no nothing, just the game card itself, 1,800 yen, and it's my understanding this is kind of a pretty cheap game. So of course, because it is in Japan and not usually sold here, then I guess the rarity of being a foreign game makes it more expensive. So anyway, of course I didn't get it, but that was interesting to see. Also, something that was pretty interesting was the best PlayStation joystick. It's a huge gray hunking thing that has almost like the flight yoke and the right, whatever the thing is that airlines have, along with the buttons and everything, just the huge Pro joystick, the official one there. That was 4,000 yen, which is very cheap for this item, but inside, it was just put in this big box, and inside as well, they just threw in a PlayStation 1, not the redesign, the original PlayStation, a controller, the DualShock, the controller, the DualShock controller, the cables, and yeah, I was very surprised by this. It's just like a straight out of the box, full PS1 flight sim kit for 4,000 yen. Thought that was pretty nice. Didn't buy it, but I thought that was pretty nice. Let's see. Next up, there was a NegCon. I did before show a bit of a, was it the JogCon controller? NegCon is the one that you actually twist in your hand to steer. It's the Namco controller for their racing games. But in box, 4,500 yen. 4,500 for this controller. And you can find the controller without the box, of course, but yeah, junking around for 500 to 1,000 yen. So not exactly the cheapest thing here, but if you want the box, I guess you gotta pay for it. Also really weird was a Splatoon 2 branded, like, you know, a curling, how do I put it? You know, like the curling stones, and I think they're in the game as well as bombs. Like a vacuum cleaner. A handy vacuum cleaner that you hold like a curling stone with the Splatoon 2 branding on it. And that was a 600 yen, you know. I think originally it was like a prize out of a crane game or whatever, but I thought that was pretty interesting. Also at the store was a working PC Engine CD-ROM system with the interface unit. However, it did not have the PC Engine itself to go with it, and did not have the AC adapter. And, well, I can tell you, the AC adapter by itself, you're not going to find for less than 3,000 yen. But let's just say you needed a working CD-ROM unit, maybe yours broke. This was a great deal at 10,000 yen. Honestly, that is very, very cheap for a working PC Engine CD-ROM these days. Also, they had a very, very huge collection of 100 yen Nintendo 64 games. Just loose games, of course, but, you know, lots of racing games, some simulations like Wonder Project J2, sports games, of course, which are always cheap, but, you know, some action games as well. It was a pretty good selection, so if you're in the area and you don't have any N64 games, well, then go there and get some. One thing I saw as well that was kind of interesting was a game I did not know existed. So, way back when on the YouTube channel, I did a review of the Super Famicom memory cassette, where people would download games, like at the convenience store or whatever, into a cartridge that could be played on the Super Famicom. And I bought one of these once for a very good deal used, and on it had Metal Slater Glory, which is pretty rare and the only way to get that game, so it's a good find. But also on the cartridge was a copy of Caravan Shooting Collection. And it's such a small game data-wise, and it was released so late, I just kind of assumed that it was digital only on that memory cartridge system. However, I found it for the first time in the wild at the store today, at this supported by Surugaya Momotaro Okoku store. Caravan Shooting Collection in a very nice box. I'm guessing it's pretty mint in the box. 5,000 yen, so maybe not as rare as I thought it was originally. Something I saw that was very, very good was Dragon Spirit for the PC Engine. The game card, no case unfortunately, but the game card and the manual for 800 yen. It's usually much more expensive. It's a pretty well-known and well-sought-after and well-respected shooting game, like an overhead shooter. And yeah, if I didn't already have it, I would have picked this up because that's a great deal. Also kind of interesting, so complete in-box Sega Saturn, 6,000 yen. Complete in-box Sega V Saturn, you know, from Victor, 24,000 yen. And well, I mean, I got mine for much, much cheaper than that, but as anyone who's watched my videos on YouTube for the Sega Saturn would understand, the V Saturn and the standard Saturn are totally the same. Only thing different is the design and a different startup screen for the V Saturn. But anyway, that was a bit pricey, I thought. Less pricey, though, was for people who don't have the system. I was pretty impressed with this Wii U with the gamepad, of course, and the Smash Brothers game for Wii U. I forget which one it's called. I don't know if it's Melee. I don't know what I know there's Melee and Ultimate, all this stuff, but yeah, 4,000 yen for the complete system. So if someone did not have a Wii U or a Wii even, then yeah, if you just wanted to play some Smash Brothers, seemed like it was a pretty good deal. So yeah, seems pretty good to me. Also, that I thought was interesting was I forgot when this was, but some years ago, Sony had their Days of Play campaign, where they were trying to push people to go onto their live service and play games, and they were putting stuff on sale. And for a very, very short time, as in it was, I guess, literally days, I think, Days of Play, a special edition PS4 was sold with 1 terabyte of memory, and more importantly, the 4 PlayStation shapes, you know, like the face button shapes, kind of embedded into the top of the console in silver, like chrome almost. Yeah, it's kind of an interesting looking system. But yeah, this one's kind of a rare thing to find, and it was there for 17,000 yen for the machine only. So if you already have a PS4, if you got this one, you can just swap out the cables, I guess. And yeah, other thing that was kind of interesting was for 44,000 freaking yen, the complete Dreamcast series of El Dorado Gate. And this is a game that I guess the first 6 games were released in stores, and if you bought all 6 of those, and then you sent in your proof of purchases, you would be sent the 7th and final game of game in the series, and the box to put them all in. So here for 44,000 yen was in fact the box set of all 7 titles, and seems like it's a lot of money, and I know it was a lot cheaper way back when, but yeah, it's something I've never even seen before, so perhaps that's worth a bit. Yeah, so also, there's a Saturn game that was also up for the PlayStation and PC Engine CD called Advanced VG, about these, these hot chicks who fight each other or whatever. What was VG stand for? I'm not sure. But the Saturn version with the special edition, which is like a big box, all the stuff inside, was 25,000 yen. It's a lot of scratch. And I have this feeling like I've seen it even cheaper in Akihabara before, but it's hard to recall now. So maybe this in fact is not such a bad deal, but it's a bit rich for my blood for what it is to be offered. Also, just still in good condition with the OB strip and everything, but Sega Gaga SGGG, the Sega simulation about how to run Sega for the Dreamcast, was 13,500 yen. That is the most expensive I've ever seen it, but at the same time, this is the best condition of any time I've ever seen this game. So if you really, really want Sega Gaga, and you're in the Kisarazu area, then I really recommend to go pick this up. Something else that I found to be very expensive was Sonic the Hedgehog for the Neo Geo Pocket, which I picked up for about 2,000 yen, game only though, not the box, was 10 times that cost at this store. It was 20,000 yen, although including the box and manual, of course. But yeah, that's it's a lot there for some Sonic. But they're right beside it in the case there. What's faster than Sonic? Well, a sports car. And Outrun 2, also a Sega game, of course. Outrun 2 for the original Xbox, 23,000 yen, and it was even a scratch disc. It said, "Is this rare or something? How is Outrun 2 such a big deal?" I had no idea. Anyway. But even more ridiculous, at least to me, for the Mega Drive, in the box, Gauntlet. You know Gauntlet, that game that's, to my knowledge, not so rare that many people have? 28,000 yen for the Mega Drive. Beside it, for 44,000 yen, without a crisp manual. It said the manual is kind of torn up. The Rockman World, Mega Man World game for the Mega Drive, 44,000. And this is the Momotaro Okoku store. The Momotaro Okoku store in Nanashino, not super far from this store, had the same game for 10,000 yen, less than 1/4 the cost, albeit no box and no ratty manual, but wow, it seemed like such a big jump to me, And also kind of expensive. The only Neo Geo CD game in the store, in the showcase, was what's this game? Robo Army. Not the most famous SNK game, but Robo Army for the Neo Geo CD for 25,000 yen. Really, really big there. And the last game I saw in the case that was of kind of a unique note to me was a game that was originally 1,500 yen, part of the Super Light 1500 series for the original PlayStation. It's Battle Kicks. QIX, that puzzle game. I don't know what's different about Battle Kicks, but this was a new game. It was still sealed for 13,000 yen. This 1,500 yen becomes almost 10 times more. I guess it was, rare. I don't know, but I've always liked kicks, but I wouldn't pay that much money to get my kicks, Anyway, so quite a bit of stuff to find. It's a great store to visit. I really, really recommend people to see this store and also go to Kisarazu City. It's really interesting, So, anyway, again, this was the Momotaro Kingdom, supported by Surugaya, attached to the Adult Zest store, visited in Kisarazu City on May the 12th, 2024. I hope it's a store that's in store for you sometime, because, yeah, it's a lot of fun. Thanks so much for listening, and goodie bye. Bye.